Hello again from my front porch. Well, it is a beautiful day here in Iowa. It's a little bit warm, but not bad. There's a little breeze and it's going through, but it's sunny and it's nice. The cloud, they're white fluffy clouds up in the nice clear blue sky, which is really great because recently, a couple of days ago, we had massive tornadoes here in Iowa that did some amazingly horrific destruction in several communities. And of course, before that, a week or so before that, we had floods. So it's like, welcome to Iowa. It's, and so it's nice to have a weekend off, if you will, from bad weather. It's nice to just have a nice weather weekend. So the reason though that I really wanted to talk to you is because of my whole being type 2 diabetic thing and my using this little nifty gauge. You remember I've shown you that before. I want to give you an update as to how all of that's progressing and to share again a little educational information, some few things that I learned along the way in this journey. So first of all, I'm supposed to be using this twice a day, and you'll see again. I want to point out it's got the color codings there. So when I do the finger poke thing and then I touch the strip that's in the top and it comes up with the reading. There in the screen there's a big number and then it'll show an arrow pointing to one of these colors, and those colors mean the green is that's a safe zone. That's you're okay. If it's above 126 you're still high, but it's okay. The red being it's way too high, danger zone, and blue being it's a little too low. You need to be working on bringing that thing up. And so that's twice a day, at the beginning of the day, at the end of the day, I'm supposed to be making use of that. And so then they gave me this little booklet here to also be tracking that information. And I started doing this way back on April 30th, I believe. Yes, April 30th, right there, see? And you see, now when I originally started out on this journey, my doctor did the blood test thing as part of my annual physical and said, whoa, buddy, your blood sugar is at 270 something. It's 273 or 274. He called me in and he says, okay, here's all the stuff you need to not be eating anymore. And I'm like, that's my whole menu you just listed right there. So I kind of did it to myself, but it was also hereditary. My dad is diabetic, his dad was diabetic, so it was destined to happen, but I didn't help matters by what my diet was. Now I had lost weight. I was eating healthier than I used to eat. I'd hate to know what my blood sugar would have been a few years ago before I started trying to actually eat healthier, when I was not worrying about any of that and eating just junk all the time. But I digress. Anyway, so I got this thing on April 30th. I went to the dietitian and talked about what can I eat and what would be a good thing. And I made radical dietary changes to what I consume so that I was able to my goal is to be able to manage this without needing medication, or at the very least to not need to take insulin shots like my dad has to do. I've got these pills that I take, metformin, I think it's pronounced, I don't know, it starts with M, and I take those twice a day, and those are supposed to help with controlling the blood sugar level, keeping it down, but they're not magic pills. You can't just pop those and eat whatever you want and be like, yay, my blood sugar's down. That's not the way it works. So I made radical, substantial, significant changes to my diet. It hurt my taste buds quite a bit, but it's healthier for me in the long run. It really is. It's not just diabetic friendly, it's just healthier, period. And so I'm not wanting to sound like I'm complaining. Sometimes I wish I could still just, grab a pack of Oreos and just start munching away on them or something like that. But, probably isn't something I should have been doing in the first place anyway. So back on April 30th, I went in and did the first one of these. Now remember, I started at 270s, and when I went in to see her, it was already down to 213 at that point. But I hadn't eaten dinner yet, and so she said expect it to go up after you eat and do it again after you eat. But at that point, it went up to 234. Still not all the way back up into the 270s because, again, I'd already started to make some changes at that point, and they were already showing some impact of that. But still, time progressed on. Did the measuring things, and it was mid-May, I believe. Let me find it here. Yes, mid-May, May 14th was the last time. 237, you see there in the evening. That was the last time that it was over 200. That's all, so back in the middle of May was the last time that it was over that. And I believe, and I have to look at my calendar, I should have before I got on the camera, but I believe I was at the ATD conference out in San Diego at that time. And so, to an extent, I wasn't necessarily eating as well as I tried to eat as well as I could. But, when you go out to dinner with groups of other people, sometimes you don't necessarily get all genuine things on your plate that you should eat, and it's like, okay, well, there's some mashed potatoes served with this. Well, okay, I could skip them, or I could just eat them and deal with it this one time. And so that's what I did. And so that's, again, it's reflected 237 that night, but by the next morning it was down to 181. So I had pulled it down. Now that's interesting though that it went down that night, because what the dietitian also warned me about was that it's not uncommon for your blood sugar to go up overnight as your body processes stuff that you've put in it during the day, something that may not have registered yet in your blood sugar, but then your body processes it while you're sleeping, and then the blood sugar level might go up then. And I've seen this happen many times. In fact, I've seen it happen here just in the last week. So here's my current week's chart. Okay, there's the current week's chart. First thing I want to brag about is last night I went to the Character Counts Award banquet, and they had 3 things there that I should not eat. The chicken was delicious and it had vegetables, but it had mashed potatoes, which I really shouldn't eat. Had a dinner roll, which I shouldn't eat, and it had a double chocolate cupcake with the chocolate fluffy frosting on top, which I definitely should not eat. And I ate all 3. And I thought, you know what, I'm at this banquet, it's a special event, I'm going to splurge, I'm going to do this. Well, my body has started to adapt to this new way of living, and because I'm doing a better job of keeping my blood sugar level down, my body is now able to better process when it gets a larger amount of sugar put into it like that. Now, I still have to deal with the increase overnight, but notice I started yesterday at 140, which was a little frustrating because the night before it had been 109. So I was in 109. Hey, I like 109. It's well below 126. And then I get up the next morning, it's 140. I'm like, what? Hey, come on. But again, it was that increase from overnight. But then during the day yesterday, I was very careful about what I was eating, was being mindful of all of that. And so even after eating what I shouldn't have eaten at the banquet, I came home and checked my blood sugar. It was down to 92, not 192, down to 92. That was phenomenal. And then overnight, where it goes up, I got up this morning and checked it, 100 even, still well below 126. Now, this week I did spike out at one morning at 153, but that night before it had been 118. And so again, it was an overnight spike of something processing but then, that was, by that night, I had it back down to 109. And so it's just a matter of managing and watching what you eat. And you can't look at the number and go, ooh, that's a low number. You know what? I think that means I can splurge and I can eat a whole bunch of junk tonight. No. No, you cannot do that. Well, you can if you want to see a really sad number that will make you cry the next day. But regardless, I'm feeling really good about where all of this is. Now, speaking of feelings though, I am also, I notice I have battled a little bit of being tired more than I used to be. And again, a couple of medical professionals that I'm friends with that have told me that, well, that's to be expected, because for a long time, 50 years, I was eating whatever, whenever, whatever, and my blood sugar levels probably at different times were much higher. I just wasn't getting them checked at that point in time. And so, in fact, it had been 2 or 3 years since I'd gone in to get an annual physical. So, my blood sugar could have been up long before it was detected this year when I got it done. Anyway, but they said that as your blood sugar level goes down and your body seeks to adjust to all of that, that you might notice that your energy level changes, that your energy, that you struggle a bit with your energy level. You might even have, when I made the initial radical changes, I had trouble focusing and being really intentional about what I was doing. And apparently that was something else that can happen, that as your blood sugar level, especially if it dramatically changes, because again, it's all your internal body chemistry that is being affected here, that you're working on. And so I was changing the chemistry of my internal functions, and so my body has had to adapt to that, has had to figure out, okay, whoa, okay, so now what are we working on here? What's going on? And so I have noticed that I still struggle with that at times, of feeling a little more tired than I recall feeling before. It's harder and harder to get, not harder and harder, it's difficult consistently to wake up in the morning, an alarm goes off to just get up and get out of bed, and it has nothing to do with, oh, I don't want to go to work, because I love my job. What it has to do with just my body just still feels so tired, and I'm going to bed at times I used to, which are still late. And so now I've also had to start making adjustments and force myself to start going to bed earlier than I used to go to bed, which again is probably a healthy thing. But still, it's part of the adjustments. So there you go. There's where things stand right now. I'm feeling really good about my health and about what's going on with my blood sugar, and I'm going to keep pressing on. My goal still is to manage this just through lifestyle, through diet and lifestyle, and not have to need medication at all. I'd like to not even need the metformin pills, but be able to just keep my blood sugar down just because of healthy living. But we'll see if that actually works out. If I still use the metformin, I'm okay with that. I just don't want to have to do the insulin like my dad does, where you have to poke himself in the stomach with a needle all the time. That's not for me. I really don't want to do that. So anyway, I'm starting to sweat like a little pig out here because even though it's a beautiful day, it's still a warm day, and so it gets warm out here on the front porch, even with the windows open. So before my camera shuts down and says I'm too hot too, I better let you go. So with that, I'll see you next time from my front porch.